Hi, I'm Novel from Node Solution. We're going to be talking about price elasticity of supply today, and we're going to be looking at a question of medium difficulty just to clarify our concepts. The question says, if the long-run supply of rice is perfectly elastic, then, and then we have our choices. So I've just made both of these cases over here just to clarify what this means. So if they're saying that the supply in the long run is perfectly elastic, that means it's perfectly responsive to changes in price, or it's absolutely flat, which means at this price you're going to supply all the quantity to the market, but at any other price you won't supply anything. And that's why it's called perfectly responsive to changes in price, and it's absolutely flat. And so what this is saying is, if the long-run supply of rice is perfectly elastic, then, and the first choice is, as people's income rises, the quantity of rice supplied decreases. So, first of all, this is talking about people's incomes, which have to do with demand. So if your income increases, then you demand more goods, and it really doesn't have much to do directly with supply. And so the next part, when it says the quantity of supply decreases, doesn't really add up, or doesn't really make sense to this. So that's why we can discard that particular one. The next one says, in the long run, if the long run supply of rice is perfectly elastic, like that, then as the price of corn falls, the quantity of rice demanded decreases. So this is basically presenting a paradox, saying that if the price of corn is falling, which is basically a substitute good to rice, so corn and rice are substitutes. If the price of corn were to go down, that would mean that you would demand more of corn, since it's the cheaper of the two. And so what this is saying is, as the price of corn falls, the demand of rice, or the quantity demanded of rice, decreases. But once again, this doesn't really have to do with our long-run supply curve, which we are focusing on in this particular question. So we have to discard that one also. The next one says, if the long-run supply is perfectly elastic, then in the long run, a large rise in the price of rice causes no change in the quantity of rice supplied. So in the long run, a large rise in the price of rice changes the quantity of rice, or there's no change in the quantity of rice. So we see that this isn't true at all, because in the long run, we've in fact increased the quantity when the demand increased. So, for example, if this was our quantity 1, in the long run, since there was more demand, this has gone up from Q1, which is right over here, to Q2. So it's incorrect to say that in the long run, a large rise in the price of rice causes no change in the quantity demanded, because clearly the quantity has increased. So this can't be an answer either. The last one says, if the long-run supply of rice is perfectly elastic, then in the long run, an increase in the demand for rice leaves the price of rice unchanged. So let's examine that. So we have the long run over here, and we have demand increasing from, or shifting to, demand 2. But since supply is perfectly elastic, or the flat line, as in the price isn't changing, we see that due to, even though there's been an increase in demand, the prices remain unchanged just because of the flatness or the perfect elasticity of the supply curve. So what this means is that no matter if the demand increased, in the long run, the producers were able to shift around their resources and produce the exact amount to cater to that demand, which was this, and hence the increase in supply was equal to the increase in demand that was seen over here, and hence there was no change in price. Hence D is the answer to this particular question.